things that make you feel uneasy, things where you're just like, does he like me? Does he not like me? I don't know. It's almost fun, okay? Sex in the City has almost made it very fun for you to be confused about a guy, okay? They all have their little powwows. They're all stressed about this, and it is not any woman knows it's not an enjoyable experience to be stressed about a guy. But we all have these creative situations. All of you and your girlfriends are at brunch doing all these mental gymnastics, trying to figure out what this meant and why he texted this then and this that. If you're confused, he just doesn't like you. Okay, I think Halsey is the one who said this. Like, butterflies are anxiety, they're not love. And we have this quote of, oh, he gives me butterflies. That's just anxiety, okay? I would also recommend that you watch my video on learning to be Team Jacob, okay? If you like men who make you feel anxious, if you are Team Edward, the guy that you should like is not the guy who makes you feel nervous or dangerous or scared. The guy you like should be the one who feels like a cozy campfire, the one that you feel safe and secure with. If you are feeling anxious with him, he is not your guy. It will not get better after you get married. It will not get better after you have kids. It will probably just keep getting worse and worse and worse. You'll get married and then it goes back to the same relationship. You have kids and then it goes back to the same relationship, okay? Except with more work. So please, 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 if he gives you butterflies, if you are unsure, if you are confused, he's not your guy. You don't want to have a guy who feels like that. And I can tell you that only if you have a lack mindset, you're going to start thinking and allowing and settling for that. There are guys in this world who will never allow you to feel nervous for a second because of how safe you feel. They will feel like a cozy campfire. You will feel safe. You will not feel scared, all this nervousness, okay? It will feel like the most natural, fun, loving thing in the world. There are so many TV shows, there's so much music, sorry, where it comes off as all these people feeling like, oh, I don't know, does he like me? Does she like me? He loves me not, the little flower petal thing. All these women who are so anxious and confused, Carrie in Sex in the City, who's like always back and forth with Big. If you are confused, he just doesn't like you. But the important part about this is after a breakup, you make sure that you have properly healed yourself. There are a lot of women who have a traumatic relationship and then they break up and then they date someone new who might actually be a really, really nice guy. But because you haven't taken the time and the solitude to heal from your breakup, to realize all the things that were wrong in that relationship, you start acting defensively. You start assuming that this really nice guy is doing all these horrible things because you haven't taken the time to heal. So make sure you take the time to heal. Make sure you take the time to analyze all the things that were wrong in your previous situations, and then make sure that doesn't carry forward into your future. Make sure you're healing yourself, okay? So now that you're healed, you've done the therapy, you've done the self-work. If you can't do therapy, watch YouTube videos on how to heal, journal. Make sure you have analytically, logically viewed all the things that went wrong. Don't view them through the emotional lens. View them through the logical lens of all the things that were wrong in your previous relationship. Whether it was your behavior or his behavior, make sure you take a hard look in the mirror and see what it is what bad behaviors you were allowing from your partner, and what bad behaviors you were also doing in that previous situation. Because you have to remember, if you grew up around all these anxious forms of love, if you are from a young age had a relationship that always felt very anxious, you felt very anxious in your household, your parents didn't have a healthy marriage, anxiety will feel like home to you, okay? You will be so used to being stressed out that when you encounter a healthy person, you will think they are boring. because you are so used to feeling stressed out and anxious and on edge when it comes to love that you won't even know that you're meeting a healthy person and you're the unhealthy person. So you really want to make sure that you have a list. This is why I think it's so important to just date intentionally versus using the dewy vibe mentality, because if you're just going off of dewy vibe, you're probably just going to end up dating someone who is your same flavor of traumatized, okay? You guys are vibing. Analyze, why are you vibing? Why are you naturally attracted to this person? It's probably because they're just the same flavor of trauma as you are. That's all it is. So that's why if you have a list and you make sure that you stick to that list, you also make sure that you meet the qualities on that list. That's also important. Don't make demands of someone. You don't make those demands of yourself also, right? So make sure you date off of a list, because this will help you avoid dating someone, vibing with someone who is just the same flavor of traumatized as you, okay? Who that person, anxiety also feels cozy. Being stressed out when it comes to love also feels cozy to them. You want to make sure that you are in a very healthy situation, and you will know you're in a healthy situation if you're going off of a list and you also have taken the time to do the inner work and make sure that you don't go out into the dating world until you have a good analysis of your strengths, your weaknesses, mistakes you've made in the past that you are going to be very conscious to not repeat in the future. You need to really, really analyze your past situation. You really need to analyze why you were vibing with your past partners, what kind of people are coming into your life. If you are dating off of the dewy vibe mentality instead of having a list, really take a hard look and see, why do I naturally vibe with this person? Do we naturally have the same kind of background? Figure out why you're vibing with this person and make sure it's a healthy vibe and not an unhealthy vibe, because two traumatized people will be attracted to each other and not realize that they're in a situation that is stressing both of them out. Healthy love will feel like a campfire. You will not feel nervous. This idea of like wedding day jitters, this idea of having butterflies, feeling nervous on your wedding day, also a bad sign. On your wedding day, you should feel very calm, relaxed, happy with your decision, excited, joyful, not thinking, oh my God, I'm getting married. Is this right? Am I too young? Am I too this? If you are confused, you're making a wrong move. Take some time, write it out, journal it out. If you need to type it out on your notes, type it out on your notes app. But really, really, so many of the mistakes that I've made in my life, in love and all around, and friendship, could have all been solved if I just sat for like an hour with my thoughts and typed out how I felt. Because on paper, mistreatment is very, very obvious. In your head, with all this creativity and delusion also contributing, their actions versus what they're telling you, they don't align, but their voices are still having an influence on you. On paper, you are looking at the hard facts. On your notes app, you're looking at the hard facts. So if you're confused on your wedding day, please don't marry that person. If you're nervous, if you have butterflies on your wedding day, please don't marry that person, okay? Butterflies are anxiety, not love. Love feels secure, love feels comfortable, love feels cozy, love feels safe, love feels like heaven, okay? When you are in relationships, you should be able to describe it as a cozy campfire, not butterflies. That goes for anything, not just love, okay? If there's a situation that's making you feel a little flutter in your stomach, proceed carefully. If you have to proceed carefully. If you can take some time away from that situation and write it all out, talk it out with a friend you really, really trust, who also isn't going to bring their own biases and trauma into the situation, do that. But butterflies usually means you should stop in your tracks, take a really hard look around, really understand the reality of the situation, not the delusion of the situation that you've created in your head, the reality of the situation, and see if it actually makes sense for you to take a step forward. Most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time your gut is a very good GPS on how you should move, especially with love. Like, so many women don't trust their gut because there's this whole culture of like, oh, like, you're crazy, women are crazy, da 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 da. No. As a woman, your gut knows. I think men have that too, but I think for women it's stronger. Like, women tend to be more spiritual, I feel like, and we're just more, I feel like we're just really connected with the earth. You know what I mean? Like, you can feel when your period's happening and all this, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So as a woman, I live through my gut. Like, if my gut doesn't like someone, even though there's no logical reason for me to not like them, I will go with my gut. Because you can either stick around to find out what your gut didn't like, or you can save yourself the trouble. Your conscious mind takes in about 8 to 12 bits of information per second. Your subconscious mind takes in about 200 million bits of information per second. Your subconscious mind is your gut, it's your heart, it's how this person makes you feel, As a woman, you can tell very quickly from looking at a guy if you would feel safe being alone in an elevator with him, right? Women, we have a very quick sense about these things. We have a very good gut because we've evolved to that, because it's really a safety concern as women. I could look at 10 men, even though none of them have opened their mouth, I can tell you which one I feel at ease with and which one I don't, right? And usually as soon as they open their mouth, you're like, yep, I was right about you. And sometimes it won't match. Sometimes your gut will feel uneasy, but they've given you no reason to not trust them. Go with your gut, because it's just not worth it. Your gut is, I have learned 100% of the time my gut has always been right, but I just do these mental gymnastics and I say, well, there's no reason for you to not like him. My stomach didn't like him, and that should have been reason enough. Trust me. Look for the campfire, please. If you are putting your hand on a stove and it feels a little hot, even though you're not totally sure, it's just kind of warm, it's not super hot, you do not slam your whole hand on that thing and say, okay, let's just see. Nope, you proceed very carefully, you take a break and say, oh, that feels a little hot. Let me remove myself from the situation for a second and really take a look at that stove and see if it's on or off, or what level of heat it's on. I don't know. You guys know what I mean. Stop searching for butterflies and things that make you feel uneasy, things where you're just like, does he like me? Does he not like me? I don't know. It's almost fun, okay? Sex in the City has almost made it very fun for you to be confused about a guy, okay? They all have their little powwows. They're all stressed about this, and it is not any woman knows it's not an enjoyable experience to be stressed about a guy. But we all have these creative situations. All of you and your girlfriends are at brunch doing all these mental gymnastics, trying to figure out what this meant and why he texted this then and this that. If you're confused, he just doesn't like you, and that's all. That's it. We could have saved Carrie all the trouble that Mr. Big was, because believe me, that man was trouble, and her gut knew it. That's why she was back and forth all the time. You are not a revolving door, okay? If a man leaves, if you remove a man from your life, you were right. Your gut was right the first time. Don't think, oh, maybe I should give him a second chance. You knew you didn't like that man when you first saw him. There were signs that you were like, you know what? I'm good. But whatever, 6 months later, you're like, I'm a revolving door. Come back in. Let's give it another shot. Trust your gut. Please. The trouble that I would have saved myself, you guys, you have no idea. You have no idea. Love you.